Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Low-Key Chaotic. Kim Kardashian has released a thong with fake pubic hair on it called the Ultimate Bush. If you don't know about this or you haven't seen it on your social media platforms, go check it out or don't. It's kind of not that spectacular, but I thought this would be a great moment to talk about body hair and where this hairless beauty standard comes from and whatnot. So let's just get into it. So she released this thong, and honestly, I feel like, remember when she brought out the nipple bra? That I felt like had some humor to it, a little bit of irony, maybe even a bit of charm, right? And it felt like it was possible to be in on some sort of like joke. But this feels so different. It's not playful at all. It's just screaming like attention seeking, almost troll-like behavior, I feel like. It's this kind of thing that makes you wonder whether anyone actually thought it was a good idea or if it's just another stunt to break the internet for 48 hours. But it's also, in a way, kind of fascinating because it says so much about where we are culturally and about our relationship to our bodies and about how far marketing can go and still call itself empowerment. And there's this tweet that I saw about it earlier that said, why are the features of the female body only acceptable when they're imitated by lingerie, packaged and sold? And that hit me because it's true. We're still more comfortable seeing fake body hair on a campaign than real body hair on a real woman just existing, which makes me think why? And why is real still too real? And obviously none of this started with Kim Kardashian. Body hair has been this weird cultural obsession for centuries. Like in ancient Egypt, it was about hygiene. In Greece and Rome, it was about refinement. Like you were more civilized if you were smooth. And then came like the early 1900s where, you know, the first sleeveless dresses were being marketed to people. You had the magazine ads. Hollywood was slowly becoming a thing. And then you had like the first women's razors and shit like that. And from there on, shaving and waxing just became part of like what being a proper woman meant. Like by the time we were kids, it wasn't even up for discussion. It was just expected. But expectations can shift. You think you're free from them until one day you realize you're following them again without meaning to. And I found myself in that position many times. I mean, I think the first encounter I had in middle school, like when you start growing hair, was being in class and having to write something on the board, on the whiteboard, on whatever the fuck it's called. And a boy was laughing at me because I was obviously raising my hand to write on the board. And he could see that I was growing hair and I wasn't shaving it. And it's crazy how conditioning works, right? Like you just like get placed into this earth and get taught these things that are supposed to be seen as normal. And then kids bully you for it. It's the strangest fucking thing. It's super fascinating. But to be honest, the older that I get, the more I feel the weight of just other people's eyes on me. Like even if they're not actually looking, it's just that pressure of like confrontation and society's expectations. Like I find myself now like shaving more than I ever have. Not because I suddenly hate hair. I don't even think that having armpit hair is like ugly or anything. I actually think it's actually kind of attractive. And I just have found myself not wanting to be confronted with like the looks and the questions. And so I just am shaving my armpits and my legs, which like I've never done as much as I am now. And it's literally just because I don't want to always deal with the small silent judgment that comes with having it. Like it's funny how when you're young, like a teenager or a young adult, or whatever, I feel like back in the day when I was a teenager, I had way more courage and strength to be like rebellious. And then the older you get, the more you find yourself just trying to mold into what society like expects of you because it's just easier. It seems easier to blend in than to resist every single expectation. And that realization feels honestly like kind of sad. Like I've become less brave in small ways, but you know, I don't want to like crucify myself or make myself feel bad for that. It's just what it is. It's very human, right? It's human to want peace more than confrontation. And that's why this topic also feels so personal to me, because it's never just about hair. It's about how being seen starts to mean being managed, like how something as natural as armpit hair suddenly becomes a test of like your values or your confidence. And sometimes I just want to exist without every choice being a statement. You know what I mean? I think the other part of this whole Skims drop that fascinates me is how these kinds of things, like the nipple bras, the fake pubes, even like, remember those giant cartoonish like red boots and shit like that? I can't think of other examples right now, but those types of things, they all share something in common. They're not really about fashion. They're about attention. And I think it's also about, like, if you really want a message to have meaning, then you have to bring it across in like a tasteful way. So it communicates that you're taking the depth of it serious. Like, for example, when Margiela last year did that 2024 spring couture show, the models were also wearing pubes. I think they were even made out of real hair, and I think they were incorporated into the garments. And that was done in like a tasteful manner, where when you were seeing them, you were seeing the artist behind these clothes appreciates women and wants to make this statement and make this, like, bring this message out to the public. It wasn't giving 24-hour social media stunt. So when Kim Kardashian brings out a fucking thong with fake pubes, it's just giving you don't give a fuck, right? Which, I mean, that's very on brand, to be honest. But anyways, to continue, I think, like I just said, a lot of people in pop culture and fashion are testing how far they can push before it becomes absurd. And it's not even necessarily malicious. It's just like survival. Like, in a world where everyone's scrolling, the fastest way to stay relevant is to make people stop, you know? Even in marketing, we call this like scroll stopping content. And people do this to an extent that is so beyond messed up. Like, it's crazy the amount of shit people do just to get attention nowadays. And these just to take it back to these kinds of drops. And these drops, they just live for virality. They don't need everyone to like them. They just need everyone to talk about them. And it works. We're talking about it right now. But sometimes I wonder if in the process, we flatten topics that actually deserve tenderness. Like body hair or aging or nudity. Those things are complex, but they get turned into quick PR moments, and it makes me a bit sad because it's the conversation, because the conversation could be meaningful if it wasn't always attached to a campaign. And then I think about how much time, money, and energy we pour into this endless cycle of managing our bodies and shaving and waxing and lasering and exfoliating just to feel acceptable. Like, that's so exhausting and it's so fucking crazy. And the irony is we keep being sold both sides of the same coin, right? First, we're told remove it, hide it, control it. Then we're told celebrate it, but only if it's in like a curated, marketable way. It's like no matter what you do, the system finds a way to monetize it. And we forget that underneath all of that noise, there's just you, a person trying to take care of themselves. And if we take a step back for a second, there's also this like deeper thread running underneath all of it, like the idea that to be desirable, you have to look young. Puberty is when our bodies start to change in ways that mark our maturity, right? Our breasts develop, our hips widen, our hair grows. Those are like biological signals that say this person is entering adulthood. And yet culturally, we've built an entire aesthetic that celebrates erasing those signs. If you look at the beauty ideals we're surrounded by, the hairless skin, the almost childlike proportions, they often sit right on the edge between woman and girl. That edge is where desire and discomfort get completely blurred. Some psychologists have studied what they call I learned this word yesterday. My friend told me about it over dinner. Hebephilia, attraction to bodies that are pubescent, not prepubescent like in pedophilia, but not fully adult either. It isn't like an official diagnosis, and it doesn't describe everyone who prefers smooth skin or youthfulness, but it gives language to something that exists in our culture, which is a fascination with bodies that look grown enough but are still untouched. And when we glorify that look over and over in ads, in porn, in pop culture videos, in music videos, in Hollywood, in influencer culture, We quietly teach everyone that the most desirable woman is the one frozen right before adulthood. She's sexually mature, but visually innocent. And that overlap is where the conversation about body hair starts to matter on a deeper level, right? Because pubic hair specifically is one of the clearest physical signs that someone has crossed into maturity. So when an entire culture insists it must be removed, we're not just talking about beauty maintenance, we're participating in a collective denial of adulthood. I'm not saying that the people that prefer this look are predators or that shaving equals pedophilia. It's not that simple, but I think the aesthetics we celebrate have been influenced by generations of imagery that came from that intersection of desire and discomfort. And if we don't name that history, we can't make conscious choices inside of it. So I think, or I guess what I'm trying to say is body hair isn't just a grooming choice. It's also a marker of how our society feels about women being fully grown. When we strip away the signs of adulthood, maybe what we're really trying to make palatable is power. The kind of power that comes with age and agency and experience. So I don't think the answer is to throw away your razor or to start a revolution in the bathroom mirror. It's just more about noticing. I think that's kind of the message of like a lot of my episodes. It's about noticing how something that used to be neutral, like hair, became charged with meaning. Noticing when a choice feels like yours and when it feels like it's been quietly made for you. And I try to remind myself that, I say this all the time, like, how can we be sure a choice is ever made by us if we're so conditioned and facing the confrontation of societal expectations every day? I feel like no one is ever really free in the choices they are making. So it's kind of ridiculous of me to even say this, because is it even possible? Is there such a thing as being completely free? I don't know. I kind of don't think so. But I try to remind myself that caring about how I look doesn't mean I'm shallow. It just means I'm human. But it's also, that's such a lie. I'm totally a little bit shallow and I'm totally a little bit vain. Absolutely. 100%. We're not even going to deny that. But it's just important to ask, who am I doing it for? And that question shifts things. Sometimes it even brings a bit of peace. So yeah, the ultimate bush by Kim Kardashian is ridiculous and thought-provoking all at once. It's a stunt, but it also cracked something open in the culture, because here we are having this conversation, right? And maybe the takeaway isn't to cancel the brand or to praise it, but to just stay awake while we look at it, to remember that every viral drop has two sides, the boundary it's pushing and the marketing machine behind it, and both can be true. And while all that spins online, we can come back to something quieter, what it actually feels like to live in our own skin. Whether that skin is shaved, stubbly, hairy, waxed, sugared, bleached, or left completely alone, it's still yours. It doesn't need to earn its place. So if Kim Kardashian can sell synthetic pubes for $60 or however much it fucking costs, maybe you can stop feeling weird about the real ones that cost nothing. Anyway, I'm probably gonna not go shave my armpits right now. And I will see you guys next week. I love you guys. Thanks for sitting in this mess with me. This was low-key chaotic. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.